early on, you would pair up with a newsman, a radio newsman named Jack Burns.
And a funny man.
And why a radio newsman? Was he a funny newsman?
Well, we met in Boston at a radio station.
Right.
He worked in the morning with another guy on a comedy team, Burns and Bennett. I was a sort of a board announcer, not B-O-R-E-D, but running the board.
B-O-R-D, WBZ Boston,
yes,
or whatever the station.
Yeah, bringing in a Alka-Seltzer commercial. I was the station where I cut Cardinal Cushing off the air and was reprimanded for that during the middle of the fourth sorrowful mystery, as I recall.
Well, how did that happen?
He was doing the rosary, and he started late because he talked about the Little Sisters of the Poor. He went on and on about these Little Sisters of the Poor, and he got started late. And it was coming up to 7 o'clock, and I'm looking at the log, and I have an Alka-Seltzer-sponsored newscast coming up on NBC.
Right.
And the Cardinal disappeared because...
And you should tell them that when it's on the official radio station log at 7 o'clock, it goes on there, or it's your ass.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. He was on the phone in a minute. He said, "Where's the young man who turned off the holy word of God?"
He's right here.
I was 20. But I left there for a variety of reasons. That was just one of them. But I met Jack there, and we had this great comic affinity. And with a third guy, we were roommates for the 3 months I was there. And we later met down the road in Fort Worth, and we just always felt we did these characters well. We'd always do these guys together. We could not, you know, we could do like a 20-minute improv, doing a couple of characters, guys like this, you know, talking like New York and Boston guys like this, you know. You've seen these guys, huh? So I tell you what, you know, we would just say anything, you know what I mean? Yeah, and it would just be beautiful. And so based on this, we quit radio and went into show business. And we actually were on the Jack Parr show 7 months later.
It's interesting how many people met on radio, like the two fellows from Ohio, Tim Conway and Harvey Korman.
Did they?
Yeah, they came out of there, along with a fellow who now works here in Los Angeles, Ernie Anderson, who's the voice of ABC. You know, Seven, or The Love Boat. That's Ernie Anderson. They all came from Cleveland radio. Well, and you and this guy, Boston radio.
Well, at that time, there only was radio.
That's
so
true.
Maybe that's where everybody had to meet.
George, you found it again. We will continue with George Carlin, who is the star of George Carlin Back in Town on HBO tomorrow night at 9:45 Eastern and Pacific, 8:45 Central, and 7:45 in Denver. Please check the listings in your town.
Yes.
God knows when. Back with you, and welcome to CBS.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm fine. Happy Easter, Sean.
Well, happy Easter to
Thank
you.
you.
Before I say anything else, I just got to say this for all the people in Pittsburgh. I guess they'll understand this. Tom, George, love this show. It's an inside joke for Pittsburghers.
Got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you back.
Oh, thanks. George, I just got one question to ask you.
Sure.
Breathing the reconstituted air and watching everything implode in front of me, I just want to know how you came up with the concept of people being like fleas on the back of a dog, and the fact that the Earth, when it's finally done with doing what they want to do to us, just is going to shake us off.
It will. Well, that goes back to the 1992 show, Jammin' in New York, that you're talking about. My feeling about the planet, that the planet is what's here for good and we're the temporary visitors. And I just pull for that big comet. I just pull for that big asteroid to come back and make things right. You know, 65 million years ago, the comet wiped out the dinosaurs and the mammals were able to rise, and eventually we emerged. Time to get things right again.
So then you share my concept that this planet is mightier than we are.
Oh, sure.
And that no matter what we do, we cannot destroy this planet. It will shake us off before it allows that to happen. Absolutely. Thank you.
And I'm now going to send you the 92 show that you can see my version of that philosophy.
Okay. Now, he mentions the 92 show, and you also mentioned that that was done in New York.
Yes.
Do you work better in New York City?
Yes.
Why?
New York and New Jersey have the kind of energy, apparently, that is in me anyway from my own upbringing and birth, et cetera. My mother and father.
Does it have anything at all to do with they get it better than they do in the Midwest or the West?
It's not so much get it better. They have a sense of confidence in big cities like that, and they know who they are. Now you get out here. We did 2 of them out here in Los Angeles. And it's like, you know, when they say La La Land, a lot of those cliches are true, because these people, they have no central identity in this city. It's nothing but a lot of 2-story buildings. There's no central core idea here, as there is in New York.
That's right.
So the people don't have that. And they just say, and you know that they're thinking, well, I could go to the beach tomorrow, or maybe I won't. In New York, they're there, man, and they're focused, and the energy they bring from those streets right into the theater.
And would it be fair to say that most of the people who live in the tri-state area around New York, or most of the people who live in northern Illinois around Chicago, work in Chicago or work in New York?
Yeah.
Whereas here, so therefore, there's this feeling of centralness.
That's right, and there's a shared dynamism.
Okay. Whereas here, I work in El Segundo, I work in Beverly Hills, I work in Hawthorne, I work in the San Fernando Valley. There's no central thing. There's no central
central idea.
Gotcha. And Sean, have you seen the new show, the one that's running now?
No, actually, I'm a poor ex-college student that doesn't have the money to flip for the insane cable bills that they're running in Pittsburgh.
Find a girlfriend with HBO.
Actually, she's up in college, so actually, I don't know, man. I can't afford the gas.
I just hope you do see it. I'm very proud of the show. It's a fine show.
Oh, I hope I do too, man. I am a big fan of yours, and I missed you the last time you were in Pittsburgh. But hey, next time you're in Pittsburgh, we'll sit on up at the point and drink beer out of a plastic cup and throw it in a river and watch it float.
If that's what you like to do, I'll do it with you.
Waiting for that big old comet, man.
Yeah.
All right,
comet.
Sean.
Thanks a lot.
Many, many thanks. Bless you for what you say, and have a good evening, sir.
Both same to you too.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
All right. Bye-bye now. In 1963, you appeared in Baltimore at a club called the Blue Dog. And if I read my research right, there wasn't anybody there.
No.
But the owner says you're going on.
That's right. This was the beginning of my career, two years into the solo career, 1 year maybe even. And there was a brand new club which hadn't advertised well. And it was the 4th of July weekend when everyone went down to the Maryland shore.
Sure.
So there was no one in town.
Maryland shore, yeah.
And those who were in town weren't going to this place they'd never heard of. So it came to be around 8:30, and I'm the only act on the bill, and there was no one there.
Not a soul?
There was a bartender,
Okay.
2 waitresses, and this guy who owned the club.
But not a paying customer?
No customers. The candles were all lit, though. And he says, well, it's 8:30. He says, why don't you go and do a show? I said, there's nobody here, Dan. He said, I know. He says, but if somebody comes in, I want them to think there's a show going on. So I got up there, and I tried to say, listen, violin you can do alone.
Yeah.
Singing you can do alone.
Yeah.
But this comedy thing seems to require the audience. That's all right, go ahead, it'll be fine. And, I had a 30-minute act, and of course, without an audience there, it only lasted 20 minutes because there were no laughs.
No laughs, right.
So it was just a very sad, pathetic moment.
Must have felt like the priest at 5:30 Mass on Sunday. There's
yes,
nobody
right.
there. Steve in Grand Terrace, California. Hello.
How you doing, Tom?
Hi,
I'm
Steve.
fine.
Hey, George. Hey, question for you, George. I've been a big fan of yours, for more than 25 years.
Thanks.
You used to use profanity almost to an art form, and comedians now use it more for shock value. You watch things on HBO like Def Comedy Jam, things like that, and it more offends you than it does make you laugh. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't know I don't know that I have much to say about others, but I've always felt that profane, street language, whatever it is, it's a part of the English language. It didn't come on a big train from hell. People made it up. It is a form of intensifier in language. It is like a seasoning in a stew. And I think properly used, it enhances character, it enhances emotion in the delivery. And I do think one of the reasons you see a lot of it is because this is a noisy culture and you have to raise your voice to be heard, and sometimes people do that rather than raise the level of ideas or imagery, they use the language itself.
Can I introduce something else that pertains to Steve's question? There's also a way to say words. I mean, in life, we know people who can tell you in so many words to go screw yourself, and the way they say it, you know that it's not meant in an unfriendly way. It's meant in a friendly way, whereas other people, by their facial expression or their body language, can say something and you take offense at it no matter how innocent the meaning might be.
They can offer you cookies and you can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a child, I was told to, there's a lot of hypocrisy surrounding this language. That's what bothers me about it. When I was a child, I was told to admire policemen, servicemen, and sports heroes. Well, we all know how they talk.
Yeah.
And that was never mentioned. It was told, don't talk, don't say that's bad. It's just a terrible, I think it's an arbitrary